The Festival of Humanity, World Invocation Day. We are approaching the Gemini full moon, when men and women all over the world can join together to help release a deep, unending inflow of love and healing energy that becomes possible at this time. This year, the opportunity of this full moon period is magnified tremendously as it coincides with a powerful lunar eclipse. This eclipse serves to open a pathway for a wider and deeper release of love to the masses of humanity, especially as more people link up with this event. On this festival, for 2,000 years, the world teacher, known in the West as the Christ and as Maitreya in the East, has represented humanity and has stood before the hierarchy and in the sight of Shambhala as the God-man, the leader of his people, and the eldest in a great family of brothers. Standing in his own place at a central point in Asia, remote from the throngs and impact of humanity, the world teacher will bless the world at the exact moment of the Gemini full moon. Many people are coming to understand the power of thought and the transformational potential of prayer and meditation, particularly when undertaken in groups large and small, at sacred times such as the full moon. At the full moon, it's as if a door stands open, a door through which spiritual energy can flow into human consciousness. Within the yearly cycle, the full moons of Taurus and Gemini are the most important. At the Taurus full moon, also known as Wesak, the Buddha, the messenger of light, returns to bless the earth. This blessing is received by the world teacher and held in trust until the exact time of the Gemini full moon, when the energy is released in a great outpouring of love. This Gemini festival is also known by various names, such as the Festival of Humanity, the Festival of Unification, and also, since 1952, as World Invocation Day. The more people who use the invocation on this day and help distribute it to others, the more potent will be the spiritual channel created through which a flood tide of energy can be released on Earth. The legend states that at the exact time of the full moon, and on the 3 days prior to the full moon, a sacred ceremony is held in a remote and hidden valley in the Himalayan mountain range by a group of enlightened and perfected beings known as the Masters of the Wisdom, who gather for an act of planetary service. On the day of the first ceremony, the keynote is love, free from sentiment, emotion and personal emphasis, a love that sacrifices and understands, that acts with strength and decision, and that works on behalf of the whole and not in the interests of any group or individual. On the second day, the ceremony's keynote is resurrection, emphasizing the new note of livingness of the living Christ or world teacher, and of that life more abundantly. On the third day, the keynote is contact, of a closer relation between the world teacher and his people, between the hierarchy and humanity. The result of these 3 solemn days of invocation is a climaxing day, wherein the hierarchy will unitedly and, led by the world teacher, pronounce the entire Great Invocation. As the exact time of the full moon approaches, a silence settles over the valley as the world teacher repeats the Buddha's last words or sermon, as well as the Beatitudes. That closing section of the Buddha's last sermon runs as follows.
My age is now full ripe. My life draws to its close. I leave you, I depart, relying on myself alone. Be earnest then, O brethren, holy, full of thought. Be steadfast in resolve. keep watch o'er your own hearts. Who wearies not, but holds fast to this truth and law, shall cross the sea of life, shall make an end of grief. When the light of gnosis has dispelled the darkness of ignorance, when all existences has been seen as without substance, peace ensues, when life draws to an end, which seems to cure a long sickness at last. Everything, whether stationary or movable, is bound to perish in the end. Be ye therefore mindful and vigilant. The time for my entry in Nirvana has now arrived. These are my last words.
At the exact time of the full moon, the world teacher sounds the Great Invocation, bringing in a vast inflow of divine love.
From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. From the centre where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the centre, which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.
For 2 days prior to the Gemini full moon, the day of the full moon, and for the 2 subsequent days, endeavour to do the following things. Link up with all people of spiritual intention and goodwill throughout the world using the creative imagination. Eliminate out of your consciousness all negativity, seeing yourself clearly as ranged on the side of the forces of light. Preserve a spirit of love for all people. When meditating and invoking the forces of light, endeavour to forget entirely all your own personal difficulties, tragedies, and problems. Endeavour at sunrise, at noon, at 5 o'clock, and at sunset, plus the exact time of the full moon in your own land, to say the Great Invocation, with the intent to invoke, precipitate, and anchor in outer manifestation the waiting potencies. Do this aloud when possible, and in group formation whenever feasible. All who care to meet together at these festivals can do so subjectively, wherever they may find themselves. We are asked to take part in these ceremonies with a full play of the imagination. As increasing numbers of humanity link up with these events, it is quite possible that some stupendous appearing may be imminent and suddenly take place, for which all the past has been only preparatory, and through which the Aquarian age of brotherhood and understanding may make itself felt. Do you recognize the urgency of the opportunity? A Tibetan teacher once wrote, what we are seeking to do is to carry forward a group endeavour which is of such moment that at the right time it could produce, in its growing momentum, such a potent magnetic impulse that it will reach those lives who brood over humanity and our civilization, and who work through the masters of the wisdom. This group endeavour will call forth from them a responsive and magnetic impulse which will bring together, through the medium of all of the aspiring groups, the overshadowing beneficent forces. Through the concentrated effort of these groups in the world today, light and aspiration and spiritual revelation can be released in such a flood of power that it will work definite changes in human consciousness and help to ameliorate conditions in this needy world.
So, join with people everywhere in distributing the energies of love and goodwill through the use of the Great Invocation. Please do what you can in the days leading up to the World Invocation Day to encourage people to use this ancient prayer to invoke the forces of light, strengthening all true servers everywhere to carry forward their service work for humanity and the world.